Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. Hope you're doing fantastic out there. If you guys could subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, comment your praise or rude comments, gets it all rolling, and people want to tune in, and that's what we're here for, baby. We're here for clicks and likes. In the meanwhile, Miami Heat, they are taking a gander at things in this whole Jimmy Butler saga. We did it on the Warriors stuff yesterday on Jimmy Butler apparently deterring the Warriors by saying, I won't sign an extension there. Although it appears these Warriors are checking in on everybody. They saw one report, they're literally checking in on everybody. LaMelo Ball, Zion, Paul George. I was like, they're checking in on Paul George? Like, if you are the Warriors, dude, and you're seeing how Paul George played this year, you're going to go sign up for 4 years of Paul George, who, you know, you weren't interested in the summer, and you won't just take Jimmy Butler on a flyer. Do you, baby? I mean, like, if you really buy that. But it was interesting. I did see this one thing from this was from Tim Kawakami, Bayside area reporter for the San Francisco Standard, and has worked in that market for a long time. He goes, what's up with the Dubs wanting to extend Butler? He says, that report by Windhorst, sorry I got the credit wrong earlier, tweet and deleted it, was news to me. Warrior people have gone quiet, at least to me. Yeah, that is a crazy thing, man. I don't understand, like, this idea that Jimmy Butler was going to get extended by the Warriors. I don't know. I'm skeptical of that in a big way. I mean, especially for a locker room that said they were, or reports saying, and you don't know what's true, what's not true, what's embellished, what's not embellished, right? But multiple reports had said that there was some trepidation in the Warriors locker room about bringing in Jimmy Butler, right? And in people who are boots on the ground there have reported that. I don't know. I just found that whole Warriors, that almost felt to me like something that was thrown out there just to, like, remember that. I mean, the furnace was so hot on trade talk this week between Luka, between De'Aaron Fox. It had almost felt like the Jimmy Butler thing has died on the vine, and I don't even know how many people care about it. This is going to be a crazy week with the trade deadline, but it is also Super Bowl week. So you're wondering, there was this tweet from Chris Haynes that had said that a lot of teams have changed their travel plans for Thursday because they don't know what's going to get done. Obviously, the Heat's most likely candidate is in, I think, California right now. So it doesn't matter either way. But the other thing is that's interesting with this Suns report is still, like, the most undersold thing about all of this with the Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler thing, right? Like, we keep getting into this pissing match about whether or not the Miami Heat would take Bradley Beal on in a trade. And there's a report today from Jake Fisher that has been harped upon by Mark Bartelstein, his agent, and multiple ESPN reports about, like, hey, he doesn't want to be traded. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to uproot his family, especially in the middle of the year. It's the entire point of why he has a no-trade clause. And I am just finding this hilarious in all of this. Is like, let's say we all get to the agreeable parties, and Bradley Beal's just like, nah, don't feel like it. Sorry. And even if it was to Miami, let's just say it was to Miami, right? And Miami was willing to take on Bradley Beal and was willing to bring him in. And, like, what if Bradley Beal's just like, you know what? You guys could have had me last year and you didn't want me. F*** off. And he would be completely within his rights to tell the Miami Heat to f*** off, because he's right. The Miami Heat didn't want him last year, and maybe he feels some type of way about that. Maybe he's just like, you know what? I don't want to go to the Miami Heat. They could have had me. They didn't want me. And I thought I was going to go to a team that was a fringe title contender, and now I'm going to a team that's rebuilding. Not into it. Now, a decent rebuilding team, but, like, you know, I'm sure if this was the offseason, maybe he'll feel different about this. If this is a summer conversation. But I do find it funny that, like, every 3 days now, it feels like in these trade cycles, we're like, Jimmy Butler's nuking his trade options here. Jimmy Butler's doing this. Jimmy Butler's saying that. Jimmy Butler only wants to go to the Suns. And then it's like, yeah. Also, Bradley Beal doesn't want to get traded. And you're like, Oh, yeah, I forgot that he has a say. He has a pretty big say in this because he has a no trade clause. So I just think it's funny that that's brought up every once in a while. Like, it's just like not a big deal when it's the biggest deal in all of this. Probably the most undersold thing in all of this is like, yeah, we'll find you. Maybe he wants to be with Billy Donovan again. Or didn't he say, wasn't there a report that he wanted to be with Milwaukee? And, Detroit's kind of up and coming. Maybe he wants to go there. It's like, and it just feels like Bradley Beal's just sitting here and they're trying to be like, dude, reduced role. What are you playing? 13? It's like, yeah, 13 minutes, 13 points a game now off the bench. Check still clears, though. We like the desert. It is nice here in Phoenix. And, man, we just sit here we're just like banging our head against the wall because we're worried about how Jimmy's going to act because he can't get to Phoenix. And it would just be great if, like, after all this, Bradley Beal's just like, hey, I'm not accepting any trades. Like, that would be awesome. If that could happen, where he's just like, you know what, dude? I'm not taking any trades this year. Unless I'm getting traded to, like, I don't even know. Because he probably wouldn't even, like, he seems like he likes the nice, unless he's getting, like, traded to, like, either a title contender or, make it the Clippers or the Lakers or whatever. But let's not forget that Bradley Beal had his own drama with the Heat last year where they wanted him to waive his no-trade clause. He wouldn't do it. He kind of made it seem like they were worried about his contract. That was all out there publicly. And they ultimately said, no thanks. Why am I to assume that Bradley Beal would be cool coming back here? Would he be, even with good relationship with Bradley Beal and admiration for D-Wade, and yeah, this is an awesome city. And of course, if he doesn't want to go somewhere cold, no place hotter than this place. But what if just like he just is in this place where he's like, I don't want to. If he's just, I just would love that to be the idea. Like, Brad, what do you think? He goes, I don't want to, dude. I'm not in the mood. All right. No trade. Sorry. And then, like, what's going to happen then? Are we, like, what are you going to do to bully him? Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Jimmy Butler. What are you going to do? Stuff him in a locker? Give him a swirly? What more bullying could you do? Then you have this whole thing that came out today that was like, oh, and also now the Suns are taking calls on Kevin Durant, which, is interesting because it felt like, oh, no way. We're not doing that. We're not going to go and take calls on Kevin Durant. And now it's sitting here and it's like, yeah, they're taking calls. Gambo in Arizona had said that the Warriors have called on KD. They've been aggressive to see if they could pry him away. That is true. Several teams have called on the Suns on KD, but Phoenix is still focused on a Butler Beal deal or smaller deals if Miami won't budge on Jimmy. Which again, hey, Miami may not budge on Jimmy, but also what does Bradley Beal want to do? What does Bradley Beal want to do? And if it is only Miami, Miami's like, nah. Can Miami be blamed on that? Like at what point does Jimmy have to like relent and be like, because I will say, people can say Jimmy Butler is, pig-headed and that he is steadfast in all this. And hey, he has shown a propensity to make things as uncomfortable as possible. But let's not forget, the last time the ball was in his court on whether he wanted to be brought back to the Miami Heat or not deal with it, he chose to walk out on practice. And that's the facts. So I see a lot of people out here and they're like, hey, Jimmy Butler's going to make things uncomfortable. It's like, well, the last time that I saw Jimmy Butler wanted to make things uncomfortable, all he had to do was sit on the bench and come in as a six man, and he walked out on practice. He couldn't take that. So who really can win the battle of discomfort? He had his say, and he did a good job. One-legged threes, barely trying, travel issues. But when it came down to, hey, your suspension's up, can you come back? All right, cool. We're having a shoot-around in the morning. Hey, by the way, Haywood Highsmith starting, not you. What? And he walked out. So the last time it was a battle of discomfort, Jimmy Butler blinked. He did not go He did not want to handle the discomfort. He didn't want to handle the embarrassment of coming off the bench or sitting on the bench. So I keep hearing this idea that, let's just say we get past the trade deadline. People are like, well, what's going to happen? I'm like, well, I'm going to guess that the Miami Heat are going to tell Jimmy Butler, come on to the building, and you're coming off the bench. And maybe you won't come off the bench. Maybe you'll just sit there. And we'll see how many days Jimmy Butler wants to do that. And how many times he wants to make it. What's he going to do? Put a whoopee cushion on the bench? Is he going to is he going to, is he going to give Spo a wet willy while in the middle of a timeout? I don't know. But the thing that is, there's two things here that have been lost in the shuffle of all this with that whole putting the Warriors down thing. And that is, one, nobody has control over what Bradley Beal wants to do. He has the no trade clause. And the Suns have tried their move. Their move was, hey, move him to the bench, make him uncomfortable. And it seemed like he's been even more steadfast. And the thing that's going to be interesting about this with the whole Luka thing, it's been interesting hearing some of the stars talk about that, where they're all like, man, if Luka can get traded, it can happen to anybody. And there's you could just tell in the league, there is a big player versus franchise battle again happening. And franchises are trying to get some control back. Now, some decisions are stupid, like trading Luka Doncic. But the point is, if Luka can get traded because they're a little upset with his conditioning and don't trust him, then anybody can. And there's only two dudes in the league who have legit no trade clauses. That makes you one of the most powerful players in the league. I don't necessarily think that's something Bradley Beal is going to want to relent on. And especially if he likes where he lives right now and his family likes where they live right now. And I just think all of that is very, very interesting with this regard. And then the other thing is, how uncomfortable is Jimmy Butler going to make this? Well, I don't know. But I know the last time that he had to deal with some discomfort, he walked out on practice. The Miami Heat didn't, they didn't make him go home. He didn't want to do it. He walked out on practice. They said, you're suspended. So I don't know. If we do get past the trade deadline and Jimmy Butler is still on the Miami Heat roster for, 35 more games, whatever it is, then I guess we'll be at the point where we'll see the Miami Heat be like, all right, are you good with sitting on the bench now? Because they're not going to play him. They're not going to play him. They're not. They're going to be like, all right, Albatross sitting on the bench. Been there before. We've had that happen before. We've had Max guys sit on the bench before and not play. We've been there. Spo's done it. Spo's like, I almost think Spo's itching for it. He's like, yeah, great. So I don't know. I still am hopeful for a resolution. As far as the Durant stuff, Chad Johnson, he tweeted out Kevin Durant to the Heat. You want to go to Phoenix so much? Maybe Phoenix bucks on that. Now, would the Heat have to add a little sweetener? Yeah, probably. Would the Suns go for that? Probably not. But it is fun to think about if that would be the turn. And Durant, if Durant didn't want to sign an extension with the Suns, and then is just like, you know what? I have always kind of had them in the peripherals. And that all of a sudden is the next turn on this thing. So we'll see. It's all very interesting, but I could upload this. This could all change in a matter of minutes, but based on the pace it's been going at, probably not though, dude.